You are the royal physician of Elberron's court. The year is 1625. The court remains silent. King Mehron is gone, and chaos creeps inward. But your duty begins now, not ends. The queen has summoned you in secret. You walk beneath the arches of Sindril Keep. Your footsteps echo over cold marble floors. No one meets your eyes as you pass. The guards stand still, gripping polished halberds. Queen Saradel waits in a black silk gown. Her eyes are tired, but her voice steady. She gestures toward a door without speaking. You bow and continue, inside, alone. The chamber is silent. Cold air swirls beneath. Ancient, echoing stone ceilings flicker with oil. In the center lies a long body. Silk covers the figure from chest downward. The air smells of myrrh and salt. You step closer. Each breath growing slower, the cloth does not hide the shape beneath. Long, heavy, wrongly formed, disturbing in outline. You understand why the queen avoided words. The rumors were not wild invention. It exists, it always did. And more, not just large. It bends reality. A thing ancient, monstrous, and deeply human. You do not speak. You cannot speak. Instead, you kneel and prepare your tools. Kneel and wrapped bundles of linen, small brass instruments, the ceremonial oils you hoped never to use. The king's face is pale and lifeless, but your eyes avoid the face entirely. You focus on the cloth and what waits. Hands steady, heart pounding, skin cold. You begin with gentle, practiced motions, binding first, then oil to slow decay. Every contact burns itself into memory. This is no medical act. It's right. You remember whispered stories from your apprenticeship, about kings born wrong beneath silken stars, about royal lineages cursed in silence, and physicians who vanished after strange autopsies. Now you truly understand their long, fearful silence. The silence wraps around you like woven chains. The fear settles deeper than your bones. The hidden vaults were more than rumors. Elberron's power was built on omission. Truth buried beneath triumph and marble. You swaddle the form with heavy linen, not for preservation, for containment. You apply a sealing paste around folds. The smell is sour, like old iron. You whisper a prayer, though none are fitting. There is no rite for this situation. Only instinct and cold, professional fear. Your fingers shake, despite your training. The queen enters without warning or sound. You stand immediately, hands still gloved. She looks at the wrapped shape and nods. This must never be seen again. You do not ask questions. Obedience outweighs every fear. She speaks clearly, though her voice trembles. Burn the bed, scrub the walls, seal records. You nod once. The moment demands obedience. 2 guards enter, cloaked in black wool. They carry the bundle with practiced care. They do not look down, only forward. One mutters a word, perhaps a prayer. You follow as they descend to the furnace, the old one beneath the west wing. It was used for weapons once, long ago. Now it serves darker, quieter purposes. They place the body into the fire, but not all of it. One cursed piece remains, a portion wrapped separately, sealed in brass. You are ordered to preserve it indefinitely. The queen speaks only once more. Elberron must remember the king, not this. She leaves before you can reply, and the doors close behind her heavily. That night, you do not sleep. You stare at the brass container nearby. Inside it lies something not meant to exist. You wonder how many knew before you. In the coming days, rumors spread quickly. They say the king died of fever. Some say poison. Others claim heartbreak. None speak of the furnace smoke. You return to your normal duties. Bandaging cuts, mixing tonics, delivering children. But every task feels smaller now. Nothing compares to what you've seen. You begin recording what happened that night, in a hidden ledger beneath your chamber floor, not for others, for yourself. A way to prove it was real. Years pass. New rulers take the throne. Queen Saradella remarries a noble from Calro. No one speaks of King Maeron aloud. His portrait is moved to a hallway. The brass container remains in your vault. You check it monthly, sometimes more often. It never moves, but still unnerves you. You dream of it unwrapping itself slowly. You try to forget, but never succeed. Some nights your hand hovers near the latch, curious, fearful, drawn by something unexplainable. You never open it, but almost do. Each night you wonder what truth you carry. What legacy lies inside that sealed brass shell? What power, or curse, or message remains trapped? You cannot ask the queen. You never will. She has forgotten, or chosen to forget. The court speaks only of heirs and safe treaties. History smooths over every rough and awful edge, but you remember the texture of the linen, the weight of it, the smell of oil, and the way it pulsed once in your arms. Or maybe that was just your imagination. Still, you wake from dreams with damp palms. You feel watched when the chamber is empty. The walls seem thinner now, the floors louder. You tell yourself it is just fear. You are wrong, but you must endure, because this, too, is part of your duty. To keep what should be lost, hidden forever. To die with your secret, and nothing more. One day, perhaps, someone will find your journal. Maybe they will believe it, or maybe they won't. Maybe they will open the brass container anyway, and by then, it will be too late. Your reflection in the basin seems older now. Lines have deepened across your brow and mouth. You walk slower, speak less, and sleep rarely. Each knock at the door startles you upright. You have locked the vault and then rechecked. No one else must open what lies inside. No heir, no scholar, no curious foreign noble. Even burned histories can sometimes find new readers. So do you, heavy with dread and silence. Days pass, but the smell still lingers faintly nearby. Not smoke, something stranger, more like rust and salt. It seeps through cracks in the marble floor. You tell yourself it's imagination, nothing more. But each morning, it feels slightly stronger still. The servants comment, then grow silent when near. One claims their boots stuck slightly to stone. Another whispers of strange warmth underfoot at dusk. You descend one night to the furnace chamber, just to check. Just to be certain again. The heat is gone, but the air thickens. You shine your lantern beneath the soot-stained arch. There's no sign of the body. That's good. But ash patterns remain that resemble twisted coils. They weren't there before. You would have remembered. One mark looks vaguely like a curled hand. You don't sleep after that visit below. The next day, 2 guards fall suddenly ill. Fever. Blurred vision. Delirious speech about golden threads. They'd both stood near the chamber 2 nights ago. You prepare herbal mixtures. You lie, gently. It's seasonal, you say. It'll pass soon enough. But your hands shake while mixing the powders, and your dreams become harder to control. You see stone floors melting like candle wax. Voices echo beneath your bed and desk. The brass container glows slightly in your dreams, always the same dim red, always pulsing once. You wake drenched, You write the visions down, not in the official ledger, but your own. A separate book now fills page after page. Ink stains your fingertips, day and night alike. One evening, Queen Saradel visits unannounced again. She wears traveling robes, darker than before. Her eyes are sunken, lips tight and drawn. She asks no pleasantries, only direct orders. "Is it safe?" she asks, but means more. You know what she fears. You nod slowly. She studies you, as if weighing your silence. Then she hands you something wrapped in cloth. A scroll, older than the keep's foundation. The ink cracks when touched, gold and crimson. "You'll understand soon," she says, and departs alone. You are left in the doorway, breathless again. The scroll details burial rites of an era, predating the throne, predating the palace itself. Symbols appear that match marks in the ash. You feel your stomach tighten with recognition and dread. It speaks of containment, not cleansing nor destruction, of trapping essence through geometry and ancient vowels. The diagrams seem almost familiar, disturbingly intuitive. You read through night, eyes stinging and dry. The next morning, your chamber door is ajar. No one admits opening it, yet things shift. The brass container sits slightly off its mark. You measure it twice. It has moved precisely. From that day forward, no candles stay lit. Wicks drown in oil without visible cause. Your reflection flickers even without light moving. Whispers follow you, though no lips move visibly. At meals, you forget swallowing half your food. Hallways stretch longer than you remember walking them. And each night, the scent returns. Heavier now. Not fire, not flesh. Something far more old. You place the brass in a locked cabinet, then chain it, seal it, double wrap the hinges. Yet every morning, it's still slightly ajar again, as if air alone can push open curses. You request transfer to another wing of Sindral. The queen denies you, without explanation or comment. You understand. No one else can handle this, and she is afraid, though she hides it. Late one evening, you hear a soft hum. From behind your desk, inside the sealed vault. Not song, not metal. More like breath. You back away and whisper protective words aloud. And you begin writing fewer notes, fewer prescriptions. Instead, you trace glyphs into your linens nightly, symbols from the scroll inked in invisible oil. You pray to things you don't fully name. Then one day, the queen returns, unaccompanied again. She wears no jewelry, no veil, no brooch. Only a pale robe and weary, lowered eyes. She sits without asking, as if collapsing inside. "It's waking," she says. "You feel it too." You say nothing. You cannot speak the truth. She places her hand gently upon your desk. A slow nod between you replaces all ceremony. She removes a dagger from her traveling satchel, places it on the desk without any explanation. The blade is old, slightly curved, symbol marked entirely. She says, "If it breaks the lock, use it." She leaves. You do not follow her out. You stay in your chamber for hours afterward. Hand on the drawer, hand on the dagger, wondering what exactly she meant by breaking locks. That night, something knocks from inside the cabinet. Not loud, not panicked. Rhythmic, patient, like waiting. You do not answer. You freeze, then breathe. Outside, no footsteps, no wind, just endless stillness. You sleep on the floor beside your cot, wrapped in your heaviest coat and extra linens. The dreams return, red, searing, not quite yours. You wake bleeding slightly from one nostril again. You burn your notes that morning without regret. Too much truth, too little use for future. Only the scroll remains, hidden inside your mattress. And the dagger, always near now, never untouched. The knocking stops for 2 days straight. You think, hope, maybe it's over finally. You begin logging dreams again, feeling foolish. The air stays cold, but nothing moves inside. Then on the third night, the lock snaps. Not violently, not loud, just soft, final clicking. You rush across the chamber, dagger ready, but the cabinet door is already open wide. Inside, the brass vessel sits as before, untouched, seemingly, polished, innocent, still sealed shut. You don't reach for it, not yet. You just stare, waiting for something worse. It begins humming again the next dusk. A low sound, a single pulsing rhythm. This time you hum along unconsciously, unaware. When you notice your voice is shaking badly, you leave it untouched. Place heavy stones atop. Wrap cloth, leather. Wrap silence around the thing. Still it hums. Still it pulls your mind. Still it pulses from across the locked desk. At breakfast, the Queen sends no word today. Only a sealed letter, marked with red wax. It contains coordinates, not names, not words. A map older than anything you've handled before. Beneath the coordinates, 5 symbols scratched hastily. You recognize 2 from the cursed scroll. One you saw in ash on the furnace floor. The others chill your spine without known reason. The Queen's handwriting reads, "Take it there, alone." No greeting, no explanation, no royal signature. You pack quickly, knowing better than to question. You leave through the servants' eastern path quietly. You ride for 2 days without stopping properly. No inns, no shelter, just torch and compass. The air grows sharper the further east you travel. The birds vanish. The wind grows oddly mute. On the 3rd morning, you reach a ruin. Circular foundation, blackened pillars, half buried in moss. It matches the map, nearly exactly in shape. There's no roof. Only a low altar remains. You step forward, vessel in a satchel tight. Each footstep echoes like a muffled warning chant. The altar bears carvings, spirals, and jagged glyphs. You place the brass vessel gently atop stone. Nothing happens. The wind holds its breath nearby. You back away 3 steps, then stop listening. The vessel hums louder now, almost vibrating subtly. A line of warmth spreads beneath your boots. From the altar's base, a crack appears suddenly. Not loud, but deliberate, like a summoned response. You brace yourself, heart thudding behind your teeth. The ground splits slightly, revealing a red glimmer. Not fire, not gemstone. Something organic, glowing faintly. It pulses with the same rhythm as the vessel. You reach for the scroll, eyes stinging dry. The glyphs match exactly. This is the destination. You begin chanting the words you memorized carefully. Ancient vowels scrape your throat like dry leaves. The light grows. The glyphs shift around you. Then, stillness. Utter, impossible, absolute stillness. The glow fades. The crack closes once again. The vessel cools. The hum becomes a hush. You feel your spine relax without permission or reason. Something is sealed, not destroyed, not released. Sealed. You sit for hours beside the altar alone. The air is lighter now. Your chest unburdens. No birds, no voices, but no pressure either. For the first time, silence feels like mercy. You wrap the vessel in linen and leather. You don't bury it. You don't destroy it. You simply carry it back down the mountain, like a message only you can now translate. When you return, The palace is too quiet. The guards avoid your eyes more than ever. The queen does not meet you in chambers. Only a note. We are not free yet. You store the vessel again in your cabinet. This time it does not hum or knock. No dreams, no bleeding, no warped shadows flicker, but something deep inside you won't let go. At night, you lock the chamber 3 times. You place salt around the drawer's base carefully. You whisper the vowels backward from memory again. Still, your hands tremble after every last syllable. Something unseen watches from the farthest corner. Not a shadow. An intent, a presence unresolved. It never blinks, never moves, but waits endlessly. You've felt it since the ruin, closer each hour. The queen's eyes appear in your dreams often. She doesn't speak, only points at your chest. You wake, breathless, clutching fabric, heart racing fast. The dagger lies across your stomach every morning. Servants refuse to enter your wing completely now. Food is left at the edge of silence. Even cats no longer linger outside your threshold. Something in the air bends around your doorway. You read the scroll until words melt again. The ink swims, then realigns with new meanings, more warnings, diagrams that were never visible before. You realize you were only halfway through decoding. It speaks of a deeper hunger beneath metal. Not the vessel, but what lies beneath it. A will buried far older than even fire. It must be fed memory, not flesh, not soul. You test this by offering one torn letter, a royal decree from decades ago, forgotten entirely. You burn it beside the vessel at midnight. The brass hums briefly, then grows warm again. You begin feeding it more forgotten things daily. A broken seal, a half-erased recipe scroll, an orphaned name from old medical records decayed. Each time, the hum rises, then falls peacefully. But the dreams worsen in color and clarity. Now the altar appears under an open sky, and hands, too long, too many, reach upward. They beg not to rise, but to return below. You start covering mirrors throughout your chamber carefully. Each reflection shows something lingering behind your shoulders, never moving, never blinking, just endlessly, endlessly watching. You whisper to it. It does not respond. On the 7th night since your return from ruin, you awake to scratching underneath the marble tiles. Not rodents, not claws. Something dragging, deliberate, slow. You press your ear and hear breathing beneath stone. You write one final note in private ledger. Whatever it is, it remembers being sealed away. You fold the page, place it inside brass. You close the lid and walk out backward. You don't return to the cabinet again. You leave it untouched, sealed beneath layers. But its weight lives somewhere in your ribs. Heavy, quiet, shifting when you try to forget. The queen stops sending messages for 6 days. No summons, no scrolls, no silent guards. You eat alone. You work in silence. And yet the air still knows your name. You begin writing in the public ledger again. Entries appear clean, measured, deceptively calm. But in the margins, you leave symbols, not words, just protections, wards between every line. One morning, a page tears itself slightly, not from wind, not from age or use, just a corner, curling inward without cause. You press it flat, but it curls again. At night, you dream of the stone altar, but now it's covered in frost and roots. Hands still reach, but now they weep. Their fingers crumble into dust mid-reach, mid-prayer. The palace begins to feel like parchment, dry, thin, ready to split from pressure. Voices echo too long inside long corridors. Light takes longer to arrive each window. A servant knocks, leaves a tray of food. But this time, something else lies beneath cloth. A folded note. No seal. No signature. Only 5 words. It knows you lied once. You burn the note without opening further. But the message remains, etched somewhere inside. It knew. Whatever it is, it knew. And worse, it remembered more than you. You walk the halls barefoot after midnight now. Not in fear, but quiet acknowledgement of ritual. The floors feel warmer near the Queen's wing, as if something grows, pulsing beneath every tile. The Queen appears without warning, face pale again. She says nothing at first, only stares. Then, with cracking voice, "It moved last night." You both fall silent. Nothing more is said. You follow her down the corridor slowly, wordless. Each torch burns lower as you pass by. The guards along the path bow without speaking. Even the walls seem to lean inward slightly. She leads you into a chamber unfamiliar, unmarked. The door closes behind you on its own. In the center lies a second vessel, identical, except this one is open and utterly empty. You step closer. Its rim bears scratches deep. Symbols carved from inside, not from without. The Queen whispers, "We thought yours was first." She looks down, trembling, but doesn't explain further. The vessel's surface smells faintly of iron moss, a scent you smelled once in childhood nightmares. You feel warmth on your palm from your own. It pulses. So does this one, in sync. "What do we do?" you finally ask her. She doesn't answer. Her eyes are wet glass. Instead, she opens her sleeve to reveal markings. Not scars, not tattoos, glyphs inked in ritual. They move slowly under her skin like smoke. You stare too long and feel yourself dimming. She says, "There is no undoing this now," then turns away as if her body betrayed her. You write nothing that night in your journal. Even the margins resist the weight of words. You try to sleep, but dreams won't come. Only a wide stone circle under bleeding sky. And in the center, both vessels. Wide open. Empty. But not silent. Never silent anymore. You do not know which is yours now. You wake up weeping, hands buried in ash. At dawn, the palace bells ring out wrongly. The sound curves downward, like sobbing reversed. Everyone gathers, but no one speaks aloud. They only wait, staring toward the Queen's tower. You realize then, something has changed its shape. Not the vessels, not the Queen, not you. Something older, something once buried too well. And now it wears the walls like clothing. The moon rises earlier each night, thin and fast. Shadows fall upward across marble and tapestry. Books lose their titles. Glass forgets its reflection. You whisper names into ink. They do not stay. The Queen no longer enters your dreams directly, but her scent does. Rose oil and burning cloth. It trails behind you, even while awake now, a haunting without the decency of a ghost. One morning you wake and cannot find time. The clock hands spin or never move again. The vessel remains sealed, but your thoughts leak. You forget how to write your own name. In the final ledger page, you scrawl crookedly, "I sealed nothing. I only passed it onward." The ink bleeds before you finish the sentence. The paper curls like flesh remembering pain. You begin to speak less each passing hour. Even your thoughts arrive as broken fragments, not full sentences, only symbols and rhythms, like echoes of something you never understood fully. The queen sends no further notes or signs, only silence, vast and sharpening around your throat. You start hearing footsteps inside your chamber walls. Not mice, not dreams, something deliberate and slow. The ink in your ledger begins to fade. Not vanish, but sink deeper into the page. You tilt it under light and see glyphs, new ones you never wrote before. They curve like hooks, but never intersect themselves. Each time you blink, their shapes evolve slightly. You try burning one page, it returns whole. Ash curls inward and reforms silently by dawn. A pale fog seeps through cracks in stone. It gathers near the vessel, but doesn't rise. It waits. Observes. Presses without ever moving forward. You breathe through cloth, but taste iron anyway. Outside, the statues begin to turn at night. Nothing dramatic, just faces angled a bit wrong. You blink, and a neck twists slightly further. One mouth opens where stone should never split. The queen speaks only once, through your door. If it forgets us, we may survive. You ask what it means. She doesn't reply. Only her shadow lingers, trembling on the threshold. In dreams, the altar grows roots and teeth. They gnash at memory, swallow whole your reflection. When you wake, your mirror is blank glass, and your face won't return until candlelight. You try prayer once. It dies mid-breath. You try silence. It multiplies the knocking. You try music. The strings unravel themselves. Even your heartbeat begins skipping certain names. You stop writing. You stop resisting. You listen. The vessel no longer hums. Now it speaks, but only in your bones, your nails, your sleep. Its voice isn't sound, it's subtraction and loss. The queen begins burning her own documents now. Scrolls, seals, treaties, all turned to gray dust. You watch silently as ashes drift through window light. Each word destroyed feels heavier than the last. You ask her why. She says, "They remember," then adds nothing more, just tosses parchment higher. The fire eats quickly, as if already hungry. The smoke curls like fingers toward the ceiling beams. You begin to feel watched through paper itself. Each time you write, the ink hesitates slightly. The pen grows warm, even when untouched for hours. You test other ink. It boils and shrinks. The palace dogs now refuse to enter rooms. One howls when passing the western wall alone. Another vanishes behind a closed corridor completely. All that's left is a single collar, torn. The queen holds daily council with no one now. She sits in her robe beside the throne. Eyes closed. Fingers moving as if counting breath. You try speaking, but she does not respond. Instead, she passes you a folded linen square. Inside, a list of names, handwritten and aged. Some names you know. Some are already crossed out. At the bottom, one word, beneath. You keep it in your sleeve like a weapon, though you don't know who wrote the list, or why yours appears at the very top. You try to remove it. It returns. At midnight, the vessel opens on its own. Just slightly. Just enough to whisper aloud. The sound is not in your ears directly. It hums behind your teeth, beneath your skin. You try stuffing the seams with cloth and ash. The sound muffles, but never fades completely. Soon your jaw aches from silence and pressure. Your sleep shortens. Your dreams stretch far too long. One morning, you find the queen outside alone. She's barefoot, pale, holding an empty frame. She says, "It took my reflection last night," then places the frame gently upon the fountain's edge. You try to help. She waves you away. "You don't understand. It isn't after death." She turns to the garden. kneels among bones. Not human, not animal, just wrong in shape. A gardener stands motionless nearby, face turned backward. Not twisted, just reversed. Calmly, completely reversed. You feel something inside your chest begin rotating. Not metaphor. Bone. A slow spiraling of vertebrae. You begin writing backward without meaning to. Names curl leftward. Dates become questions. Time folds on itself in the margins. Your ledger closes itself when unwatched too long. The mirrors are gone from every hall. Not removed. Erased. As if never there. Only one remains. A shard above the altar. It flickers. You avoid it. You always look anyway. One night, your name vanishes from your tongue. You speak, but the word won't come forth. Instead, it echoes from the vessel behind you, mouthed by no one, yet shaped perfectly wrong. You seal your chamber door with melted gold. You place salt, thread, bone dust in each corner. You sleep inside a circle of unspoken oaths. Still, something scratches the inside of your dreams. You visit the royal archives for the last time. You dig through shelves lined with dust and grief. One scroll glows faintly under the moon's breath. It reads, "It sleeps beneath what we forget." You hide the scroll beneath your shirt and run. You do not tell the queen what it says, but you both know. The silence confirms it. You burn the scroll. It still remains in memory. She weeps only once, not for herself, but for the map carved into her back. She shows you beneath candlelight, shaking, ashamed. The lines match the vessel's carvings exactly. You realize then, she was marked at birth. Not cursed, not chosen, just charted by history. The path was drawn before she spoke her name, and now it's almost fully complete. You hear drums underground on the fifth night. They sound distant. Then beneath your pillow, you count them. You try not to count. They grow louder when named, like all forgotten things. You begin sleeping less, speaking even less. Even your breath feels borrowed, unfinished, brief. The palace grows cold without season or wind. Walls dampen. Curtains twitch when no one's near. One morning, a servant enters screaming, then stops. He forgets why he screamed at all. His eyes won't meet yours for hours. He leaves behind muddy footprints in a circle. The queen now wears gloves at all times. She no longer eats, but sets plates out. Not for guests. For something older than guests. You ask once, she only says, protocol. When you blink now, time skips slightly ahead. A candle melts twice as fast as yesterday. You forget what day it is by noon. Your name echoes longer than it should. One night you wake and find it open. The vessel. Fully. No sound, no glow, just space. Depth. A pressure like reversed gravity. It pulls inward, not just air, but memory. You try to shut it. Your hands tremble. They won't touch the edge anymore. As if your flesh recognizes what your mind won't. You back away. It does not follow. Yet. Later that night, the queen visits, shaking hard. "I saw my own name fall inside," she whispers. "You must take the list and finish it." You nod, but the list is already blank. No names remain. Just impressions, scorched outlines. Your fingers itch where they used to rest. You burn your own handwriting the next day, but ash collects again on your sleeve. The vessel begins humming whenever you lie, even small ones, even in thought. It punishes dishonesty with unbearable silence. You learn to think only in exactness. The queen collapses by week's end, still breathing, but her voice speaks in someone else's tone. You sit beside her, and listen without blinking. Her words are prophecies you pretend not to understand. The final moment comes without grandeur or trumpet. The vessel simply stops being visible at all. But you feel it. Behind your ribs. A second heartbeat. A borrowed drum. You write one last note inside the ledger. I held it. I fed it. I lied. Then tear out the page and swallow it whole. It burns, but you finish it anyway. The queen no longer opens her eyes now. She lies still, lips parted, whispering backward. You lean in once, then wish you hadn't. The words enter your head like a second voice. Each morning her room grows darker by inches. Curtains untouched, candles lit, but light withdraws. Even the windows forget how to reflect. You stop bringing mirrors. They stopped reflecting days ago. She begins mouthing your memories aloud at night. Things you never spoke. Things even you forgot. Your mother's voice, a hidden scar, a secret betrayal, all poured through her lips without tone or pause. You ask her name, and she says, yours. You ask again. She replies in your voice. It sounds wrong only because it's honest. You leave the room and forget your question. The palace empties slowly, without notice or sound. One by one, the staff begin vanishing. Not fleeing. Just absent. Uniforms remain folded clean. You walk alone down halls that never echo. The kitchen fire still burns. No one feeds it. Chambers remain swept. Doors open and close themselves. Chairs warm as if someone just stood. But no faces. No footsteps. No explanation. You begin writing letters to no one. Not addressed. Not sealed. Not even finished. Just beginnings. If I vanish, it wasn't. And then you stop. Each time. Always mid-thought. One night, the ledger opens by itself. Its pages blank, except for one symbol. A circle split with 7 cracks. It pulses. You touch it. Your breath shortens immediately. Something lives inside that symbol now. Not trapped, not waiting. Just aware of you. Each time you blink, the cracks change position. By dawn, one disappears entirely. The queen speaks again on the 7th day, but it's not language, just sound shaped like grief. You understand it anyway. You shouldn't, but do. It says, it's remembering what we tried to erase. You scream, but only inside your teeth. You try to run. Your legs betray you. You collapse, laughing without joy or breath. The laughter isn't yours, not anymore. The queen's skin begins to pale unnaturally. Not sick, almost translucent like wax or paper. You see shapes shifting beneath her arms. Not veins, not bones, something waiting for warmth. She no longer drinks water, only ink. You bring her glasses filled with black fluid. She sips slowly, then smiles with your mouth. You look away. You always look away. The vessel now hums in your sleep. Not loud, but deeper than silence itself. It vibrates your ribs, your spine, your tongue. Some mornings you wake without your own name. You try carving symbols into your floorboards. Old ones, forbidden ones, scratched with iron wire. But by sunrise, they rearrange into maps. Always the same path, always leading downward. In the hallway outside, a door appears. One you've never seen, yet recognize deeply. Its frame pulses like breath held too long. You touch the handle. It sighs in heat. Inside is a stairwell made of bone. Polished, smooth, spiral. Descending far beyond earth. You take one step, then another, then stop. Something below has already noticed your arrival. You leave the door. It vanishes behind you, but you still hear stairs in your dreams. You count each one backward in your sleep. At 99, something begins calling your birth date. The Queen hums softly from the throne now, a melody that makes windows shudder open. You try covering your ears. The sound enters, through pores, through thought, through breath itself. The guards no longer bleed when injured. One cuts his palm. Black smoke emerges instead. They burn their wounds shut, eyes unfocused, calm. You stop asking questions after the second scream. At night, the moon appears closer than usual. It fills the window, pressing against the glass. You watch it breathe. You wish you didn't. Its surface twitches like skin wrapped too tight. Your reflection stops matching your movements. It speaks sometimes before you do. Once, it mouthed, "We're late," then smiled in a shape your face can't make. The Queen invites you to the garden again. But the trees are now carved from pages. Leaves whisper in foreign languages you almost remember. One branch holds a noose made of hair. She kneels beside a fountain full of dust. "We dreamed this place before birth," she says. You want to deny it. You can't. The fountain ripples as if remembering you both. A child stands across the hedge, unmoving. His face is blank, mouth stitched gently shut. He holds a lantern filled with teeth. When you blink, he is suddenly much closer. You retreat. You forget. You pretend to forget. But the scent of parchment follows you home. Your bed sheets whisper names all night long, none of them yours, all of them true. One evening, the Queen hands you a mirror. Its surface is solid, like cooled wax. You see nothing until you whisper truth. Then the wax melts, revealing a third vessel. Not yours, not hers, not the palace's. Something older, stained with names long buried. You feel your knees buckle without falling. You ask nothing. There's no point anymore. That night, thunder cracks, without sky, without sound. The palace walls pulse outward like breath. The paintings peel themselves off the canvas. Every clock strikes 13, then vanishes completely. And in the silence after, you feel it. Not inside the vessel, but inside yourself. The hum, the pull, the unspoken memory. It doesn't sleep anymore. It waits with patience. You return to the Queen one final time. She reaches for you with someone else's hand. The skin is loose, the fingers too many. Still you take it. Still you kneel. She says, "You were always the fourth key." Then breathes smoke into your open mouth. It tastes like stories you never finished reading. You swallow. The chapter ends. But not for you. You no longer sleep inside your old chambers. The walls whisper too loudly for rest. You lie instead in the east corridor. It's colder, but at least it forgets. Your name no longer echoes when spoken aloud. You test it sometimes. It never replies. The walls only return other names, ones you never gave yourself, ones you fear. The Queen has stopped eating entirely now. Her body thins, but never weakens. She moves as if time forgot her weight, as if gravity negotiates terms before touching her. She no longer wears robes stitched by hand. She wears words, literal phrases wrapped around skin. Letters glow faintly down her arms and legs. None of them are in any language you know. The three vessels have shifted their weight inward. You feel it in your spine each morning. Something aligning, preparing, waiting for the fourth. Now it's not a container. It's you, not an object, but the vessel. The real key was never forged or carved. It was named once, long ago. Not by parents, not by ancestors, by something far older than either. The queen begins each morning facing west. She hums quietly. Eyes closed. Hands folded. Once you interrupted, she bled from the eyes. Only for a second. Then silence returned. The hallways have stopped behaving normally. You step through one door, arrive elsewhere. Sometimes inside yourself, sometimes inside her dreams. Once, you arrived exactly nowhere for hours. The sun sets now without warning or color. It simply ceases to exist above the tower. You track time by the scent of walls. They smell sweeter before memory fades again. The gardeners return, but without mouths or tools. They tend roots that grow from stone ceilings. You try speaking to one, it bows. Its hands leave soil where it stands. The fountain in the garden whispers constantly now. Not words. A stream of impossible numbers. You write them down. They rearrange overnight. By morning, they spell one word: unfold. You ask the queen what it means. She smiles without joy. It means we begin. She takes your hand and traces your palm. Where once were lines, now spiral glyphs grow. Your bones itch from the inside. You feel joints shift without pain. You measure your height. It changes daily. You stop measuring. The mirror no longer helps. The vessel no longer pulses in the chamber. It breathes in rhythm with your chest. You try to leave the palace once. The gate weeps until you turn around. The stars have begun to gather lower. Not falling. Just curious. Just watching. One blinks when you curse aloud. You stop speaking. But the stars still remain. In the archives, the books rebind themselves. Their spines now made of woven hair. Pages stick to your fingers too long. You peel one off. Skin comes too. The queen dreams aloud again each afternoon. She speaks of doors with no shape, of corridors made from ancestral regrets, of a mouth beneath the capital's streets. You listen. You memorize. You stop resisting. The fourth vessel no longer frightens you. You touch its rim and hear childhood again. Laughter. A tree, then silence collapsing inward. You now walk barefoot over lit braziers. The flames bow instead of burning you. The palace learns your footsteps like prayer. Every tile, a memory repeating in stone. You find a fourth room behind the throne. It wasn't built. It simply appeared one dusk. Inside, walls of parchment stitched from breath. They whisper softly, but only when unobserved. You sit. You listen. You record nothing. Because what they say isn't meant for ink. It's meant for marrow, for silence, for becoming. You close your eyes. They keep speaking anyway. The queen enters. Her face is yours now. But older, hungrier. She bows before you. Not with deference, no, but full agreement instead. Finally, she says, we're in alignment. You kneel beside her, 4 vessels breathing, all sealed, all open, all waiting. They do not tremble. But you do. You open your lips and speak one word, unfold, and the palace walls obey without question or delay. The walls do not collapse. They stretch and breathe. They breathe inward, as if tasting your name. You step forward. They let you pass. Not in welcome, no, but ancient recognition, deep. You enter the hidden room once again. It's grown larger, or perhaps you have. A second door waits in the far corner. It has no knob, no hinges, only silence. You press your palm against its surface. It feels like your own skin, but colder. It opens without sound or command. Inside, a mirror shaped like a womb. It shows no reflection, only a pale emptiness instead, only memories you never lived, drift across its surface. A child with your voice speaks backward. Each word draws blood from your ear. You collapse, but do not fall. Gravity forgets you for a moment. Time folds inward like a tired scroll. You are both standing and kneeling. The queen appears beside you, then within you. Her voice now sounds like distant thunder underwater. "You were the door," she whispers. "Always." And you know, she's right. You rise without using your legs. The mirror shatters without sound. Each shard floats around you like stars. You speak a name not yours, yet familiar. The shards spiral into the fourth vessel. It pulses once, then opens without force. Inside, a letter folded in salted cloth. It reads, "Forgive us. We remembered too late." You ask the queen who wrote it. She weeps dark ink that stains her gown, not from sadness, but release. She says, "I did, but not alone." The vessels hum in slow synchronization. Their song echoes through the palace bones. Dust lifts from furniture long abandoned. The floor beneath you cracks like old porcelain. But you do not fall. You descend slowly, reverently, endlessly, below the throne, beneath the roots, deeper than maps were ever allowed. You arrive in a chamber of breath, not air, breath, living, inhaling breath. It wraps around your fingers and listens. You speak nothing. It hears everything anyway. The fourth vessel floats in the center. You approach without moving. It waits. Inside now, your name, written backward. Not a label, but a key. You understand what must be done, not because she says so, but because you always knew. From the moment you first lied, you kneel slowly, bones quiet beneath your trembling weight. You close your eyes. You whisper the name. The vessel swallows it whole. The palace above groans without sorrow. Stones shift like tired shoulders. The queen vanishes without sound. You feel her absence in your jaw. You are alone, but not. The vessel glows once, then fades. It has consumed its purpose. You rise, nameless and whole. When you return, no one remembers you. The halls are still, the sky blank. Only the fourth room remains open. Inside, a chair and your new name. The vessel no longer needs a pedestal to rest. It floats, centered, no longer tied to stone. The air around it smells like forgotten spring, not flowers, but the memory of blooming. Each night it hums in lower tones. The pitch reshapes your dreams from the inside. You no longer control what appears in sleep. Even awake, images persist longer than before. The queen has not been seen in days. Only her scent lingers in northern corridors. Ash, roses, and something faintly metallic. The servants avoid the northern wing entirely. You try calling her name. Nothing answers. Not silence, something worse. Delayed acknowledgement, like sound returning from behind itself. You don't call again after that. In the western wing, the tapestries shift subtly. You walk past one. It exhales briefly. Another shows faces that don't match history. They look like you. Older, unraveling, afraid. You spend hours in the archives each night, but the pages now refuse to turn. Books flicker through their own contents freely. Some speak in pairs, arguing with margins. You find a scroll labeled simply, 5th. It is blank until your fingers touch. Then words crawl outward from your fingertips. You were not the only vessel marked. You drop the scroll. It folds itself closed. You burn it. The ash still whispers. You carry the whisper in your sleeve. It scratches when you try to sleep. The palace walls begin producing condensation inside. Moisture runs like sweat beneath the paint. It tastes bitter when it reaches your lips. You stop licking it, eventually. Outside, the sun begins circling instead of setting. It rotates above the spire in spirals. The birds fly in reversed formations daily. One stares through your window and mimics breathing. You throw a cloth over the glass, but the cloth sags inward unnaturally. Something on the other side still watches. Even when the moon replaces the sun, you leave offerings in the 4th room now. Bread, charcoal, bits of hair or string, they vanish between visits, without sound. You stop asking what receives them. The queen appears one dawn in your bed. She is thinner, quieter, mouth sealed shut. You do not speak. She doesn't need to. You wake with her hand over your eyes. You smell parchment soaked in salt again. The vessel has grown darker in color. Not black, but the idea of absence. It dims candles even from across chambers. You follow the vessel one night, unconsciously. It floats just ahead down endless halls. The walls stretch, bend, and breathe around you. Door vanish behind every silent step. At last it halts above a grate. Iron. Old. Covered in chalk sigils. They vanish as the vessel lowers slowly. Below, a shaft without visible floor. You descend, ladderless, in silence and fear. Time does not move in this space. You arrive somewhere between height and depth. A chamber made from weeping red clay. Here, you see the other vessels again. All 4. Perfect. Still. Balanced in air. A 5th begins forming between them slowly. Its glow is made of memory and ruin. You approach. You feel younger and older instantly. The 5th vessel recognizes something inside you. You collapse, eyes open, unable to blink. Around you, voices begin speaking in chorus. They chant fragments of your earliest days, not as they happened, as they were meant. The difference shreds your understanding of self. You weep, but the tears go upward. Then, silence. The 5th vessel is sealed. You wake inside your own chambers again. The sheets smell of clay and whispers. The queen sits in the corner, silent. She draws a symbol on her chest. One you remember from childhood nightmares. She mouths the word, soon, then fades. The room folds once, then becomes still. The vessel no longer returns to its chamber. It follows you now, always behind, floating. Even when you close doors, it appears inside. It no longer asks permission to exist. Your footsteps now echo twice in the halls. A second sound, slightly delayed, always follows. You turn fast. Nothing. But it listens. You test it with silence. It repeats silence. The queen leaves behind a trail of symbols, drawn in dust, on mirrors, under bowls. You copy them into your skin nightly. They itch, they flake, they reappear each morning. You hear laughter coming from the sealed wing, but no one lives there. No one should. The laughter is yours, but reversed. It ends with a word you forgot. One morning, a mirror refuses to forget you. It shows you a day that never happened. You are smiling beside 4 pale children. They chant something while holding tiny vessels. You break the mirror. It heals itself slowly. The cracks move across the surface like veins. Inside it now, only one eye watching, not human, not cruel, just waiting. The 5th vessel breathes beside you every night. You sleep beside it, arm extended slightly. Sometimes you wake with glyphs on your wrist. They are different from the queen's. You begin drawing your own sigils now. They feel right, though no source teaches them. You try burning one. The flame turns blue. It hisses, not from heat, but pain. Servants stop entering your room entirely now. Even the boldest ones leave trays at doorways. You eat only what the vessel does not reject. Some foods vanish the moment you look away. Books now open on their own when passed. They do not whisper. They breathe ideas. You understand without reading. You forget deliberately. Forgetting has become part of your survival. The 5th vessel finally speaks, not aloud. It moves slightly, and you hear a sentence inside your ribs, like a second heartbeat. It says, "We remembered before you did." The vessel opens once. Something climbs inside. It is not alive, but not dead. It wears your shadow like a stolen garment and smiles when you look away. You fall asleep standing, eyes still open, and wake beneath the floor, fully clothed. The queen kneels beside you, hands bleeding gently. She says, "We have passed the threshold." You no longer ask for meaning. You nod. The walls shift. The halls echo a name. It is not yours, but you answer. The name you answered was not yours, yet true. It tasted of salt, stone, and forgotten thunder. When whispered aloud, the lights dim slightly. Even the walls incline in recognition now. The vessel no longer floats. It walks, shifting, indistinct, mirroring your gait and posture. You do not lead it anymore. It moves first. You follow without hesitation. The queen's tower collapses inward one morning. No dust, no sound, just absence where she stood. No one speaks of it. They bow, as if she had ascended, not vanished. You find her ring by your windowsill. It burns when touched, but leaves no mark. You wear it anyway. It adjusts shape. It tightens when you lie, loosens with truth. Each night, your bed shifts further east. You wake beside the vessel, wherever it rests. Sometimes in cellars, sometimes inside forgotten chapels, once inside the mouth of a dead king. The city outside has begun to crumble inward. Streets fold like parchment. Statues sink into earth. People continue as though nothing has changed, but they walk slower, eyes further apart. Children draw sigils in the ash streets, not from memory, from something deeper. Their games involve naming things without mouths. They win by forgetting their own shadows. You are summoned to the central archive, a place once sealed by iron and prayer, now open and breathing a different air. Inside, the 5th vessel waits atop stone. It pulses with something you forgot to fear. The walls drip ink in slow motion. No scribes remain. Only chairs facing inward. Each has your name etched underneath its legs. You do not sit. You kneel instead. And for the first time, the vessel sings. Not with voice, with memory, taste, and weather. You remember storms that never touched this realm. The ground beneath the vessel grows warm, not with heat, but the ache of return. You smell soil, grief, honey left too long. The vessel opens. Inside, a second sun. Small, dimming, shivering against its own glow. You cradle it, but it burns your name. The queen appears behind you, eyes darkened. You know what it is, she says quietly. You nod. You remember too much now. It is not a sun. It's a seed, not planted in soil, but in memory. Its roots will grow through forgetting alone. The palace ceiling weeps in slow amber droplets. They harden mid-air, forming words above. You read them in silence. Become, unknow, begin. The queen presses a glyph into your spine. Your legs forget how to walk briefly, then relearn with different weight and angle. Your shadow now trails behind sideways. It whispers things your mouth never dares. You and the queen descend once more, not beneath the palace, beneath remembrance itself. Steps fold under each other endlessly downward until you reach the place that forgets shape. There are no walls, only implication of corners. The fifth vessel floats between heartbeats here. The queen kneels beside it, lips sealed. She offers you a knife wrapped in smoke. You take it. It dissolves into thought. Then your thoughts dissolve into gesture and offering. You do not stab. You open instead. Your chest unfolds like old scripture. Inside, a sixth vessel already forming quietly. The queen gasps. We were wrong. It chose early. The fifth vessel dims. Yours begins to glow. Its light is colder, but wider somehow. Above, the palace has vanished entirely. Only sand and the scent of remembering remain. The sky curves inward, stitched with pale lines. Each line hums a name you forgot. You begin speaking, not aloud, but forward. Time listens and obeys in kind. You do not know what you become. But the sixth vessel knows. It dreams you. The queen places her hands upon your shoulders. They weigh less than before, or you weigh more. She speaks now, barely audible beneath her breath. Whatever you remember, let it rot gently. You nod, not as answer, but necessity. You cannot hold names and light together. They leak from one another too easily. So you forget yours. But hold the vessel. The sixth vessel pulses differently than the rest. It sings without rhythm. It remembers in colors. Its light bends sideways around your form. You become smaller as it grows inward. You climb the steps again, though no steps remain. The queen vanishes at the fourth breath. Only her scent lingers on your right hand. Salt. Copper. A trace of rose ash. You emerge in a city that no longer stands. Buildings are outlines. Streets drawn in chalk. Children hum melodies that slow the sky. You walk unnoticed, or too noticed. A man with no mouth offers you parchment. You take it. It screams without sound. Written upon it, your earliest, truest lie. You fold it. It folds you back. Above, the stars change their patterns nightly. They trace glyphs that match your veins. You understand, but no longer need to. Comprehension is now a form of binding. You open the vessel under a forgetting tree. Its branches droop under the weight of silence. From inside, mist, memory, and one final echo. Your voice saying yes before it began. The sixth vessel empties itself without spilling. It becomes part of the root beneath you. You fall asleep beneath its growing hum. When you wake, your shadow is gone. But in its place, something else breathes softly. Not a voice, not a shape, a truth. The kind that can never be named again. You hold it like fire inside your mouth. It asks you nothing. It only watches. And from now on, you dream only backward. Through every vessel. Through every sealed room. Until the beginning forgets it ever ended. There is no more palace. Only thresholds. You walk among them without passing through. Each frame whispers what lies behind it. None match the world you remember once. The sixth vessel no longer follows you. It leads, yet stays behind. Both at once, you feel it breathe through cracks in air, not wind, but memory re-entering your lungs. The people left in the city no longer speak. They gesture with fingers marked in spirals. Their eyes reflect only what they forget. You are not feared, only misunderstood. At night, stars form a map of regrets. Each pulse in the sky marks what unraveled. You trace constellations across your forearm. They sting when you lie to yourself. The queen appears sometimes, but only halfway. A shoulder, a voice, a wet footprint. She no longer commands. She warns gently. You listen, even when nothing is said. The sixth vessel changes shape in shadow. Sometimes it is a bowl, a spine. Sometimes it rests inside your pillowcase. One night, it beats like a second heart. You begin dreaming of the first door again. But this time, it opens inward endlessly. You step through and arrive behind yourself. A loop, a lesson, a mercy forgotten. Inside the door lies the seventh vessel. You do not touch it, yet know it. It flickers like a secret, never spoken. It reflects your face, but older, burned. The vessel speaks in sentences you haven't lived. Will you leave a memory unburied again? You do not answer, not from fear, but from understanding. You already have. Each footstep echoes 4 times in return. Each echo belongs to a different you. The one who stayed, the one who burned, the one who opened, and the one watching. The city folds inward on itself by morning. Streets spiral into fountains, into teeth, into sand. You try to map it. Maps forget shape. Each drawing ends in a single word, wait. Children build towers from forgotten names. They chant songs that unwrite their parents slowly. You help silently, stacking syllables like bricks. The towers collapse when the names are remembered. The sixth vessel finally speaks your name aloud. It says it with joy, grief, and warning. You weep for reasons beyond language or cause, then forget the sound by sunset again. The queen returns in full. Hair gone white. She walks barefoot. Her voice tastes like charcoal. She says, "You are the end of lineage," and bows as if that is holy. You hold her hands. They vanish immediately. She leaves behind only a scent of ash. The sixth vessel sighs. The air stiffens. Your skin begins forgetting your shape. By evening, the sky smooths into stone. Birds fly underground. Rain drips upward. Your shadow splits into 3 directions, Only one of them still follows you. You begin walking backwards for days now, not as ritual, but as necessity. The vessel glows brighter when you retreat. Its hum syncs with your own heartbeat again. One morning you arrive at a stairwell. You do not remember walking there, yet stay. At the bottom, a mirror, still fogged. It reflects not you, but the queen kneeling. She mouths a question you once feared. You nod. The mirror darkens without breaking. Behind it, a room with no sound. Inside it, the seventh vessel waits, pulsing. You step in. The vessel dims briefly, then flares once, blinding and silent. You feel nothing, except weightlessness and clarity. You are inside the vessel now completely. You do not panic. There is no need. The vessel has no walls, only memory. It contains every version of you forgotten. They greet you like distant, broken echoes. Each version shows you a single moment lost. A breath, a blink, a lie told kindly. You do not judge them, you embrace. Each memory softens, then drifts into the walls. Finally, a voice you recognize returns softly. The queen. Older now, almost myth herself. She says, "There's no next vessel, only choice." You understand. This is your final shape. You exhale once. The vessel opens inward. You rise, not in body, but ripple. The world becomes reflection of your silence. No name remains, only what chooses to remain. You wake beneath a tree that doesn't exist. Its leaves murmur lullabies in reversed time. You know this place, though it never was. A home woven from memory and unmemory. The seventh vessel hovers now above your chest. It does not press. It waits, listening. You whisper nothing, and still it nods. Agreement is no longer spoken, only known. You walk toward the shore of vanished oceans. Waves of dust lap against your ankles. Beneath the grains lie unburied names. You step carefully, honoring each syllable. A figure waits where water once met sky. They are faceless, but wear your posture. They raise a hand. You mirror the gesture. Neither of you moves closer. Still you merge. For a moment, you recall a lullaby, your mother's voice, or perhaps your own. It hums from within the seventh vessel. You listen, not for meaning, but permission. The figure turns, stepping into the horizon. You follow, though the ground unspools beneath. Distance no longer obeys physics or faith. You arrive before departing. You remain after. In this last chamber, the ceiling bends inward. Time weeps through cracks in the brickwork. The queen stands there once more, transparent now. She mouths one final word, choose. You hold the seventh vessel in both hands. It is lighter than all you've carried, and heavier than what remains of you. It pulses. You breathe. It breathes. You forget. Then, silence. Not quiet, but complete undoing. Sound unknits itself from your thoughts. Language drops away like ash from wood. All that's left is knowing without name. You place the vessel where your heart once lived. It accepts the space as rightful throne. And you, not vanished, but released, a shape among shapes, a hush within hushes. Thank you for staying with this story, for listening through the silence and shadow, for following the vessels, the queen, the curse. Even when nothing made sense, but feeling did. Not every truth must be explained aloud. Not every ending wraps itself in closure. But sometimes, remembering is the braver act, and forgetting, the more sacred one. If these echoes stirred something in you, a chill, a question, or a quiet ache, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Your voice may find someone else's silence. Subscribe if you'd like more stories like this. Stories that don't shout, but linger instead. Stories that walk slowly and dream backwards. Until next time, rest well and remember gently.